I've spent $82,861 worth of Frost Stars in Whiteout Survival in 258 days. And I'm not going to show you any spending tonight because guess what? I'm recording before the reset for the first time, I think maybe ever. But I'm on vacation. I'm trying to squeeze in some time when I can to keep the daily journal going. But unfortunately tonight, that means I'm going to have to tell you what I'm doing before I do it because I need to spend some time with family tonight. So what I'm going to end up doing tonight, I've already got Snowbusters in a good place. This is where we're at. Here we are. I got up to level 24 completed. I'm on level 25. I'm not going to complete it. I'm not going to spend any more on this event. I got the island decoration components I wanted. I got a bump up there. I'm good. I'm good to go on Snowbusters. On Treasure Hunter, I'm going to buy up to $50 every day. So that's going to be my plan today. After the reset, I'll buy up to $50. I'm probably going to end up skipping arena because I'm going to be spending time with family. So not much I can do about that. Actually, I could do an arena, like a pre-arena run. Oh, look, this is how much my account's being neglected. I hate this. How long have they been sitting here waiting to be training? And I don't even have any marches out for resources right now. And look at my intel. My intel's a mess. Well, I did manage to get some intel done earlier. But my intel's a mess too. Look, I'm going to do it while I'm recording. I'm going to do a little bit at least because or else I'll end up forgetting. I'll do the little easy ones I can do. But yeah, so this is where the account's at. Like sometimes real life happens. I'm doing the best I can to keep up so I don't go completely behind. But I'll get some maybe research marches out as well. Yeah, okay. So let's take a look at arena though. Basically, it's not ideal. I like sniping at arena, but you know the only thing I can do is in what I did already is I put in my challenges in advance. And that probably means people are going to be able to hit me. No, it does mean people are going to be able to hit me. By the way, I've got my gear, my hero gear in a weird state because this Winter Siege has me all sideways. Like, I don't know what to do about it. I think I made myself warden in 2 places. I think according to the rules, if you look here, you can see in the rules, it's a little tricky to get to. I hate how sometimes the information isn't really, that great. Like each chief can form 2 squads to garrison, and these squads are also used during the battle phase to attack enemy strongholds. Right? So somebody was worried about am I going to be able to still attack as the warden? But here's the garrisoning. There's a limit to the number of squads that can participate in the active garrison of a stronghold. The warden's squad takes priority, after which priority would be assigned based on squad power. Squads that fail to make it into their stronghold's actual defender lineup at the end of preparation phase can still be deployed on attacks during the battle phase. Each garrisoning squad will be a certain number of hearts, yada, yada, yada. And then R4s can move things around. And then if you get into the phases, chiefs can use their 2 squads formed previously to attack enemy stronghold garrisons. Each defensive defeat by a garrison will cost them 1 heart. So if you lose a heart, and a garrison squad will be totally defeated once their hearts are exhausted, at which point their stronghold will lose a corresponding number of stars. So that's interesting. But I don't see anything in here about, the wardens not being able to attack either. So I don't know. And here's morale and how morale affects things. Garrison starts with 100% morale, but this drops with each defender victory. So that means that like you can get like worn down over time. And then once an enemy strongholds have 0 stars remaining, you can still attack and spar, but it doesn't really matter ultimately. Yeah, so here's the thing. I don't know whether to, basically should you make it a defense or an attack squad? You kind of need to make it an all-purpose squad, right? Because like if it's only based on attack, then it's going to be harder to defend, and if it's only based on defense, it's going to be harder to attack. So I basically did this all-purpose squad. But what I hate about it is that I definitely see that the power rankings are affected by the hero gear. So I put the hero gear where I thought it needed to be. I don't know if it's going to be dynamic during the battle phase. Like, can I change the hero gear before I go send a squad out to attack? If I change it, does it's affect in real time what my stats are in that particular building? I don't know. Usually most event modes, it like locks in the hero gear at the time that you register the squad. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. Like once it goes into battle phase, is the gear that I had on those heroes going to be locked in for that period? I don't know, but it's got me all kinds of sideways. So anyways, let's see. I got off track talking about Arena. I thought, so what I thought I'd do today, since I can't show you the spend and I don't know what's happening after the reset, we can look at the calendar basically. And this is a little bit of a different format than I'm used to doing. We do have Mia's coming up, and I have not decided what to do about Mia's. Mia's is, I don't know, it's okay value. It's not great value. It's very much based on luck. Maybe I'll dip my toes in the water of Mia. Is that an expression? I'll dip my toes in the water of Mia. That sounds like it needs to be a quote now. But, you know, let's see. I don't want to spend too much on stuff like this. In fact, I already told Hunty, like, hey, I am slowing my spending way down. So, you know, I'm having fun with the account. And he and I both basically agreed, yeah, let's have some fun with the account. And I think he's sick of spending this kind of money also. So we have built up quite a lot of power and we can have a lot of fun now. But to keep on trying to go after other people in other states, ranks and all that, when people are spending ridiculous boatloads of money, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like it doesn't, I'm losing the appeal to that. So the other thing I thought I would do tonight is just quickly go through, because I can't show the spend like I normally do, and there's not a lot of events and gameplay that I can show because I won't be able to do Treasure Hunter until later. I suppose I can do some Treasure Hunter now, but I just don't have a lot of time now. I promised my nephew that I'd spend some time with him, and I'm trying to keep this short. I figured I would just go through the top 3 things that I love and dislike about the game. I don't like using the word hate. Hate's a real strong word, because these are things that I think the game developers can improve when I get into the bad stuff. And some of it, they don't have any control over. It's just the nature of humans, you know? So let's get into it. My top 3. And I'm gonna go through the bad first, so I can do the good last, so I can end with the last. I'm gonna do the bad first, so I can end with the good. End on a positive note, right? Number 1, in this one is the only one where I'm going to kind of give you a good and a bad in the same token, but the player drama sometimes gets to me. I'm a manager at work. Having an alliance full of 100 people and then having a state full of 1,000 or something like that, it can be a lot sometimes, and it's hard to be a diplomat all the time when sometimes people are not even being reasonable. And sometimes you don't know if they're not being reasonable because of cultural differences, or they're just having a bad day, or that they've thought things about you that you had no control over and didn't have any opportunity to influence, right? Like they just think one thing or another, and there's nothing you can do to influence it because they're just going to think what they want to think anyways. I as you probably have learned from listening in with me for this almost a year now, I try to be a genuinely even-keeled person. I used to be real angry when I was younger, and that didn't get me anywhere, and I learned a lot of lessons from that. So I try to be as even-keeled as I can. There comes a point, though. There comes a point that you get me to that point, and I'm going to snap again. And that hasn't happened yet in the game. It's come real close a few times. Come real close a few times. But I've always said this saying, like, don't confuse my kindness with weakness, right? That's one thing. But this is something different. This is just getting frustrated with people. And it's just hard. You have different people's backgrounds, thoughts, ideologies, cultures, all coming together like any team. Except unlike a professional team that I'm used to working on, I work with a bunch of professionals all the time, intellectuals, academics, things like this. You're just dealing with a sample of society, and sometimes it mixes like oil and water, right? And so the best thing I've been able to do in that regard is just realize that, and all right, let the separation happen, right? You're gonna mix up the oil and water. You're gonna let it settle a little bit, and then just let it settle. Like, all right, if I don't belong here, if I don't belong you, if we don't jive, then we don't belong together. And I do also try to genuinely educate people or have a lot of grace to understand misunderstandings, cultural differences, and stuff like this. But just that amount, so related to this is how much the game kind of requires the alliances to be working together. So this isn't, I guess it's just the format of the game. The developers don't really have control over this either, but you don't have to, right? Like you could just meander through the game and do your best and not really be cooperating with one another even at the state level. You can try to do that. It's just not going to be particularly effective. So you need good communications with other people, and it's just a matter of randomly who ended up getting put together on the same server. And then, or you got to pay for transfers, right? Transfers aren't even free. You don't even get a one-time free transfer, right? That's another frustration of mine. But I'm trying to keep this a top 3, right? So that's my number 1 is dealing with player drama, and this even affects interstate stuff. When you get into like transfer chat and stuff, and people being rude to one another, people being outright evil. All the slice of human society that we don't like and the stuff that we like is all here together. So we'll get to the what we like later, but that's the good and bad. As I'm going to save this one for my top 3, but it's a two-edged sword, because it turns out that having a bunch of people together having fun is also a good thing. It's just, can we try to figure out a way to eliminate the drama? But I'm afraid you can't, because it's just the human nature, right? Okay, so that's my number 1 bad thing. My number 2 thing, and this is probably a tied for number 1. The reason why that was my number 1 bad thing is probably that's the number 1 thing that affects my ability to have fun and enjoy the game. If I'm fighting with other people or arguing with people, sometimes I don't even want to turn on the game, right? Like, it's just like really? I got to have this argument? I got to have this conversation with this person? And that takes away from my fun and enjoyment of the game. Number 2, in that vein, that takes away from my enjoyment of the game, is the time commitment required of the game. And that's in part by design, because they want you on the game all the time. But in part, like, some things they could do things about, like the castle battle is too long. Like, dedicating pretty much an entire day. Like, when you go into castle battle, state versus state, sorry, I should be more specific, state versus state castle battle. When you go into a state versus state, prep week is so long. Coordinating with an entire state worth of people about strategy, and then the other state about rules that you're going to negotiate. Again, the game developer doesn't require you to do any of this stuff, but if you don't do it, you're kind of asking for trouble. But all that time that's required, and then you get to the end of that period where you've been doing all this work and going through prep phase and strategizing and talking to folks and negotiating, and then you have the battle day, and it's pretty much an entire day. It's like, I don't know, 10 hours or something like that. You get between the battle phase and the castle phase. Castle alone is like 5 hours if you can't hold the castle contiguously. And as you get more advanced into the game, it gets increasingly hard to be able to hold the castle contiguously. So that's a 5-hour allocation just of fighting, not to mention the battle phase before, the battle phase after that surrounds the actual castle battle. It's too much, and it actually, the fun I have is spending time with other people playing the game. The castle battle itself, I'm finding myself having less fun with it, actually. And that doesn't mean, that's not because we lost the last one. It has nothing to do with that. I've been talking about this in previous castle battles when we won. We won many in a row, right? It's nothing to do with that. It's just too long. It takes a big portion of my day. It's exhausting. I get through the day and I feel like I still need to sleep. Like, it ruins my weekend. And then I ask myself, like, I'm supposed to be having fun with this game. Why am I allocated? And I'm the whale of the state, one of the whales of the state. Hunty's the other one. When we're gone, you feel the impact. So I feel the burden of that. Like, I can't. The game gives me no way to take myself out of that and say, like, I'm not participating in state versus state, so don't include me in matchmaking. Like, I would love for them to provide a feature like that, where whether it was, and the other thing related to this, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but is vacation mode. Like, if I need to be on vacation and it just happens to be over a state versus state event date, our state is pretty much screwed because I'm one of the 2 big whales in the state. Like, my power is getting used to calculate a matchmaking event, and yet I'm not even going to be there. And if I know this in advance, if I either had a vacation mode or if I had the ability to sign up for state versus state, then they can do a proper matchmaking. Like, they should allow people to sign up for state versus state just like they do Foundry, right? And then matchmake based on that. And if you miss the window to participate, you can't participate. There's no loophole, right? You're not a participant in state versus state if you didn't sign up for it. And this would make for a much more fair matchmaking process. But coming back around to what I started here is the time commitment. Like, even if they did that, like, how many people would sign up for a 5-hour battle plus extra 5 hours of battle phase around it? Man, it's just a lot. And so that gets frustrating to me. That's getting under my skin. But, this isn't all negative. We're going to save some good for next. So just keep that in mind. I really do hate the time commitment, but there's a lot of fun to be had in the game. So let's save that for what's good about the game. The other thing, and I think a lot of people have been talking about this lately, I talked about it a bunch recently, is I don't know how to explain it. I know I'm playing as a whale account, right? This was part of my hook of doing this content, playing as a whale account, showing you the other side. But I think the pay to win seems a little unbalanced lately. And I don't know if that's the game developer's fault. I actually think it's in large part the community's fault. Because if the game developer, this is how they've chosen to monetize the game, and they have never hidden that, right? It's a valid way to monetize the game. But then if you have people who come along and say, you know what, even though you made it, game developer, exponentially expensive just so that I can't do this, watch this, hold my beer. Let me show you what I'm going to do. And then go and spend $100,000, right? Like, what? Like, why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing that. Please don't do that. But the ecosystem of the whales in this game is such that $100,000 is just a drop in the bucket. Like, I'm not even at that point yet. And look, here's I would have never thought I'd be playing a game. And this is even though I did my research before playing this game. Look in the neighboring states, right? And look where I sit as far as, let's look at something like Labyrinth, because it's a good indicator of your power. Well, I guess I snuck up there a little bit, but like, I've spent almost $83,000 in this game at this point, and that's where I'm sitting for Lab. It was not too long ago, so maybe it's because it's like persistent spending money. Some of these people spent money and backed off. But look, this is where I'm sitting in overall power in neighboring states. I'm third for Labyrinth, basically, and that means presumably these other folks have spent more. Now there was a time, however, that I was even lower down on the totem pole. I was down in like spot 10 or something like that. Maybe this is an indication that some people are dropping off their spending or something. I don't know, but I'm done with competing for it. It feels like a financial arms race. And again, this isn't I firmly believe this is not the developer's fault. I don't think they're doing anything, I personally don't think they're doing anything intentionally. I think they're actually, if anything, trying to make the progressive grind difficult enough to allow other people to catch up. Yet some people are saying, you know what? No, I'm still spending like crazy. That's not their fault. That's our fault, the people who are playing the game, for doing that. And if you're free to play or low spend, don't get angry with the whales, because that money coming in from the whales is what's making it so that they can keep going. The game can provide this ecosystem, pay their developers, pay their company, make their profit, and so all the people who aren't paying any money or who are really low spend can continue to play the game and enjoy it. So you can't get angry with the whales either. I'm just saying the balance just doesn't seem right somehow. And I'm saying that as somebody who is playing as a whale. The balance just doesn't seem right, Talk to some people about like strategies and stuff like that. When it gets to the point where, like, I do agree that if you're spending on your account in the right way, your power is going to grow and you're going to be able to do things that other people can't. That's the part of why. That's why I want to pay, right? If you're playing as a whale, that's one of the real reasons you want to pay. You want to get that edge, right? But it shouldn't be such a huge divide that it makes it almost impossible, that without any strategy whatsoever, so that you can win. And there are people who out there saying, oh no, don't worry, we win against whales all the time. Well, it's just, there's levels, right? So yes, you can win against whales, but I'm just saying, if there's somebody, if your whale spent $20,000 and my whale spent $200,000, it's night and day, right? They're bringing a whole 3 extra squads to the rally that you can't even touch. Maxed research, maxed War Academy, like I have at this point, and you can't. There's very little you can do against that unless people just don't show up for state versus state. Anyways, so and I do want to be able to compete with strategy. And by the way, when I make this comment, I'm not saying I'm the best in the game. I've always said I'm learning this game. So I'm just saying that something seems off with the balance, and that's bothering me. And so that's one of my top 3 bad things right now. Maybe it's just a moment. Maybe I'll do this check-in every now and then, just as part of documenting the journey. The top 3 good things, let's leave on a good note. So number 1, that same problem, the people problem, is a two-edged sword. I've made some what I would call genuine friendships in the game, like relationships with people that I like talking to, right? That gives me someone to talk to outside of all my other social circles that knows things about this game, and we talk about the game. It's specific to the game, right? And we have fun together. We genuinely have fun during events, during battles, collaborating. This amount of collaboration it takes to play the game also ends up creating bonds of people who enjoy playing the game together and enjoy spending some time together. So that's been fun. I've honestly, I'm the type of person who, even though I'm a nice person, I've had trouble making real friendships in real life because that takes a time commitment that I don't always have. But in the game kind of forces us to have that time commitment, and therefore we come together more often, and I've made some real good friendships. So I think a lot of people have said things like this. They've met lifelong friends and kind of saved them from, whatever, boredom, loneliness, addictions, all types of problems in their lives. The game has helped them with. So I think that's kind of interesting just to think about that. And had a lot of genuine fun just because of the people. So on the one hand, there's going to be some people that cause me angst and anxiety and take away from my fun in the game. And then other people who are the very reason that I'm having fun in the game. So you got to take, it's just like I said, this is like the human condition, essentially, right? There's going to be some people we get along with and some people we don't. All right, number 2, the game is a lot of fun. It really is. I mean, they're doing, I wish they could probably do more to introduce more interesting game modes. I'm kind of getting, I don't want to say sick, but I'm getting bored of the kind of repetitive nature of some of the events. It seems like almost every event takes the form of a squad attacking a castle, right? Like it's like, you have a squad and they're going to attack a castle, and you're going to call that Foundry. And then you're going to add some collections to it, and you're going to and have a center, and you're going to call that Frostfire Mine. And then you're going to have a slightly different format, and we're going to call that, Frost Dragon Tyrant. It's like I'm getting sick of that format being the same. Now, Canyon Clash, entirely different format. Queuing system adds a wrinkle to things. That's one of the reasons I like Canyon Clash. It's different than all the others. The Frostfire Warhymn League, it's kind of like an arena, but it's not. It's a different format. People can get excited. People can place wagers on it. All right, I like that. It's kind of a little different thing going on there. That's kind of an interesting thing to happen. All the mini games, some of them people like, some of them don't, but there's a lot of little mini games. Snowbusters gets a little repetitive after time. Fishing, a lot of people love fishing. What's the Dreamscape Memories people love if you're a cat fan, especially if you're a cat fan. all these mini games, and not to mention the events that they bring that some of them feel like a little bit maybe like they're a little bit too much like games of chance, so to speak, but they are fun. They're fun to play. So there is a lot of fun to be had in the game. I wish the things like the castle battle that takes so long and such commitment of time, I wish they can do something about that, because that's the biggest problem I have when it comes to gameplay right now, is that castle battle and my role in it, which I have to take whether I want to or not, or whether I'm able to or not. If I was in the hospital or on vacation, my whole team is screwed. How's that right? That's not right. And not to mention, again, the time commitment. We're trying to stay positive, though. Trying to stay positive. The bottom line is the games are fun. And even as long as Castle Battle is, the format of trying to win Castle on behalf of your whole state, that's fun. The premise is fun. That's what creates some excitement. All right. And finally, and this is kind of like, I guess, lower on the totem pole, but still one of the top 3 reasons I like the game, is they are trying, it seems to be, to keep on introducing new elements, new skins, new games, new mini games. I wish they would do a little bit more with new formats, but they have this long, and we're only in like Gen 4 right now. There's a whole bunch of generations coming after that we know about, but we're not released yet. But the point being that they have us on this kind of release train where there's a cadence of just when it's at risk of things feeling to get boring, then things get better again. So I think that's kind of nice as well, that they always keep injecting new stuff, and you're on this train of like, you kind of get used to the certain heroes, and then you have to get used to new heroes. And then you get used to a certain set of heroes, and you have to get used to new heroes. And with that comes new metas and formats and changes and all that. And so I think that's fun as well. Well, that's my list of top 3. I hope you enjoyed this different format. I probably went longer than I intended to tonight, doing a lot of talking about the game and stuff and not showing you a lot of stuff, but that's what's going to happen when I need to record before. I'm probably going to have to do this again a couple times throughout the week, depending on how the schedule is with the family. But I'm already over time, so I'm going to cut here. Thank you very much. If you want to help me out, though, if you want to continue to see how this journey goes, I need your help to do that. You got to share the channel with other folks because they might enjoy it as well. And then simply all you got to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That way, whenever I post anything, you'll be the first to know about it. Thank you very much for joining me. And until next time, I'll see you later.